Today I'm introducing you as the villain of this podcast, since everyone paints you out to be that girl.
I'm not.
I know.
Swear.
That's the funniest part of this. Though.
I know.
You're always painted to be the villain.
I know.
And you're not at all.
Thank you.
I know.
That really means a lot.
But isn't that funny how they do that?
I think people want to believe it.
They do want to believe it.
I know, but I'm not. I promise.
Yeah, you're not.
No.
But tell the audience a little bit about your time on Love is Blind. Like, how did that start in the beginning? Like, did you want to find love, obviously?
So I was actually approached for the show. I didn't audition for it.
Right.
And so one of the casting directors, Lauren, she had slid into my DMs. And
the way of the world today.
I know. And so she was just asking me if I was single. And technically I was single. And so I was like, at first I was like, heck no. I didn't even know what the show was at the time.
Right.
And then this was all kind of during COVID when the show became a huge hit. And so I checked it out, and my one girlfriend, Rachel, she was like, you need to do it. It's an experience.
Why not?
What if you do meet your husband on there? And so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to check it out. So I watched it, and I thought the concept was genius, and it obviously was working.
Right.
And so I'm like, why not? That was my whole perspective on it. And then, so what happened was COVID happened. And so they had to push filming on for a year. Yeah. So a lot happened during that time, but
they had to push it back because of COVID.
A year, and so it was like a brutal process, getting in, because there was interviews after interviews. Right. And they ended up, I guess they liked me, and so it was a year later, and then finally it was last minute. They go, we're filming in less than a month. Right. So they flew us out to LA. And then that was
Isn't it crazy though that you were on the first season? Second season.
So the first season was awesome, and then the second season was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I think everyone can say the second season was really wild.
But I think that's why you're well known, is because it was the crazy season.
Right. There's a lot of hype with it. What was the next season going to be like? And so when we filmed, I actually had a great time filming. I actually thought it was a great experience. I didn't know the aftermath of how crazy it was going to get after that.
When
you have
everyone
no
talks.
idea. Oh God, yeah, because you have no idea what you're getting yourself into, and you can't control what's shown, what's not shown, because there's literally tens and thousands of hours of filming. Yeah. So they can't show everything. Right. And so the story that was portrayed was wild.
But did you think it was going to blow up as much as it did?
No. And so again, I didn't realize how many people watched the show.
Right.
And so they tell you ahead of time though, because you have calls up until it comes out. Because again, then they wait, I think almost a year till the show comes out. Oh. So at that point, it's behind you. You know what I'm saying? And you forget a lot of the stuff that happens. And so they give you a pep talk of what to expect. You know what I'm saying? Especially with mental health, because they warn you
it's a lot.
Be careful. There's a lot of crazy people out there. They really invest themselves, and they really think this is you, and so they kind of prepare you.
Well, and the comments you got were negative. Some of, everyone on Instagram or social media, whether, you get positive or negative, there's always going to be people
1,000%
that say something. But how did you deal with that? I mean, because from being on a season and then your Instagram flooding, I'm sure that you opened some of them, or most. Oh God, right. Because you wanted to see.
Well, there's thousands in there at first. And so with me though, they kind of warned me ahead. They're like, hey, look, 50% are going to hate you, 50% are going to love you. Right. And I'm like, why? I don't know what I did. Yeah. And then when you see it, because you don't see it before the world sees it. And so you're watching with the world.
Oh, that's true.
And I was taken back by it, because I was like, oh my God, this is insane. But I actually had way more kinder messages. Good. All my messages were 95% positive. Good. It was the comments that were brutal. Yeah. But at the end of the day.
But it's they don't even know you. You're on a show.
No, but it is a mind F.
Did it make you insecure?
Yes and no, because I knew the truth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You know yourself.
But the world didn't know the truth.
Yeah.
And so.
You were confident in that.
Exactly. And so I had to remind myself, you know what? I had a life before the show. I had friends before the show. Right. I'm not trying to dog anybody, but I had a life before. Yeah. I had a life after. People who know me. I have friends for a reason. And at the end of the day, I really only care what God thinks about me. Yeah. And that was where I was I had to reassure myself, this is insane. Does it get to you? Yeah, it can get to you, but you soon, you learn to brush it off. Yeah. And you become desensitized to it.
But if you're confident enough, yourself. Yes. So you said, your life before and after.
Exactly.
Not a lot of people would be able to do it. I probably wouldn't. I'd probably get the comments. I'm sure people will comment on the podcast of
oh, you're gonna hate
stories.
Yeah.
And it's fine though.
You might get hate from having me on here.
Right. And you know what? Everyone's allowed to their own opinion, and it's fine.
Yes.
But for me, it's still words can get to you, so you have to be strong.
I agree. And I think words are like, they can be very damaging.
Yeah.
You either speak life or death over people.
Right.
And
people don't even know you, and they're ready to judge every single thing about your life.
But I will say this to you, like when you do go public with this,
right.
Normal people do not comment hate.
Right.
They don't. Like normal people, like if you don't like something, you can not like something. Everyone can have their opinion. Right. But like to take the time out of their day to give you hate or to like say anything negative.
Yeah.
That's on them. That's a project. Like it's weird.
It's just their character. And
1000%.
But flash forward.
Yeah.
I met you at my friend's birthday party, which is such a small world.
Yeah, I know.
Because your husband now, I have known since I've been 20 years old. Christos used to be my boss. I always loved him.
He's always loved you.
So it's so funny that what a small world that I go to a birthday party. You're married to Christos, and that's how we met.
Well, it's funny because our friend was on the show. Yeah. I met her on the show. And then, so then I met you. And then Christos was like, I've known Paige since she was like young. And he always said you had a heart of gold.
Yeah. And I knew Kara through Olivia. So Olivia and Kara were friends. I met Kara through Olivia, and then I met you through Kara. But really, I would have known you anyway through Chris.
Isn't that funny?
It's
meant to be.
This city is so small.
No, it really is small.
I want everyone to know that. Like, no matter how many people, everyone knows your shit.
Everybody.
And if they don't know your shit, they try to know your shit.
Well, what's wild is like, I went through a period, obviously, like you're in the scene when you're in your early 20s, but I had gotten engaged. So I was like dragged out of the scene for like 4 years.
Right.
So then when I came back, everyone's like, how did you not know Christos?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I don't know. I think it's the invisible string theory.
Yeah,
Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
And I just think timing is everything.
Timing is everything.
So we would eventually have met.
Yeah, it's just crazy now because you have a baby now.
I know.
And you're a mom. And then you and Christos have been together for a couple of years, right?
So we've been married. It'll be 3 years married this summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have a baby.
Yep.
But then, okay, so you get married. You guys have an amazing relationship.
Yeah.
Then you get pregnant.
Yes.
And then while you were pregnant, you go to the doctor, you go to the hospital, you have your normal visits.
Yes.
And then they tell you have cancer.
Yes.
And what was that like? Like, were you shocked?
Shocked.
And what did they tell? Like, did they tell you that the baby was going to be okay? Did they tell you you were going to be okay? I forgot what.
So what happened is like when you get pregnant, you go in for your regular pap smear.
Right.
And so I had no symptoms, nothing.
Yeah.
And so we were in Greece we were celebrating our 1 year anniversary in Greece, and I had gotten the call that it came back abnormal.
Yeah.
Did
you think anything of that?
I kind of had a weird, like a bad feeling, but I kind of just put it like in the back of me.
Right.
And so, back of my head. And so we flew home, and then I couldn't get in for the colposcopy until like a month and a half later.
Right.
And so we were just kind of like waiting. And then as soon as I got into the doctor's office, we like were doing it, and immediately like her face was like, this does not look good. She was very honest. And I just remember like not trying to cry in the doctor's office.
Right.
And so I get back, and then the next day they called me, and she told me that it like is cancer.
And did they tell you that treatment was going to cure it, or that they didn't know?
So they didn't know what to do because it happens. It's not impossible, but it's rare to see a pregnant woman with cervical cancer.
Right.
And so they had told me like what my options were. So the next week they get me in for an appointment with my oncologist, and she told me like what the protocol was.
Right.
So usually like you'll go in when you're not pregnant, you'll go in for a cold knife cone.
Yeah.
They'll try to remove as much cancer as they can, and they'll also use that as a biopsy to see like where the cancer's at.
Right.
And so the problem being I was pregnant, and since cervix is what holds pregnancy, it was a complicated issue. It was the first thing they would want me to do would be do that, like would get the cold knife cone. But in regards to that, I would probably most likely end up miscarrying. At that point, I was over 3.5 months pregnant. Right. And so I just like could not bear the thought of losing this baby because we had a miscarriage before that. And so I like took some time to think about it and prayed about it, and I decided like I wasn't going to do it.
Yeah.
So it was frustrating for the doctors because like I'm their patient first, right?
Right.
Then comes the baby.
Yeah. Right.
But in my head, I was like, no, the baby comes first.
Right.
And so the next steps were the meeting ground, which I didn't want to do this, but the next like middle ground, they met with the board to see what my options were. They wanted me to do, it's called a laparoscopic surgery. So basically like they'll cut incisions inside your stomach. Mm-hmm. They'll go in there, they'll like go around the baby. Right. They try to grab as much.
Oh, that's so nerve-wracking.
I know.
I can't even.
Lymph nodes as they could. So they ended up grabbing 13.
Wow.
I know. And so just to make sure the cancer wasn't spreading, because like they had no idea, we didn't know anything about the cancer. And so they wanted to see like a better idea of where I was at. And so the recovery was awful. That was actually worse than having a C-section. But they found out that I was stage 2, and they were wanting me to do chemotherapy. Yeah. They were strongly encouraging it because, again, like they didn't know how fast it could spread. And so after doing some research, I denied chemo. I just didn't want anything.
Oh, you did deny chemo?
Yeah, I denied chemo, which they were like, again, like,
not happy with.
Oh my God, yeah, because like they were freaking out. You know, they didn't want me to die. Yeah. And again, we didn't know exactly how invasive and how.
Did you think at any moment though, that there was a possibility that you could pass?
No.
Okay, good.
I don't know why. Yeah. Well, I think I do know why. It was God. I really had a peace where everything was going to be fine, and I had like people. My family, like my friends, like people all over the world were just like praying for me. And again, I was keeping this private. Like I didn't want anybody to know because I'm not gonna lie, I was really embarrassed. Yeah. Really embarrassed. I don't know why I was embarrassed. Everyone thinks I'm weird for that, but like I'm not gonna lie, like
it's just your own thing.
It is. Like I was just like embarrassed.
Right.
And so I decided not to do chemo, and they were just gonna monitor me with MRIs monthly, which it's a lot, but I just knew I didn't want to do chemo. And then the talks where they wanted to give me a radical hysterectomy upon delivery. Right. And that's where I broke down. I think I cried once during this whole thing being pregnant, but it was when they wanted to like give me a hysterectomy. And I just, again, doing my own research, and I was like, you know what, we don't know enough about the cancer. Right. Let's not go that far yet. You know what I'm saying? And so at the end of the day, it was my decision. I said, no, let's wait until the baby's born, and then we could go in there. But then what had happened was when they were monitoring me with MRIs, they had found a higher mass up in the canal. And so that's why they were freaking out with the chemo. I forgot to say that earlier. They had found a mass higher up in the canal, and they were like, we have to do something. Right. And then this is where I know like it was God. After that surgery, and they did another MRI, it was gone. After people praying for me, it like was gone. They had no idea how or why. Wow. And so that's when they were kind of like, okay, we'll agree to monitor you. And so the next hurdle was they wanted to deliver the baby. My oncologist wanted to deliver the baby around 30 weeks. Wow. And I just said, no, it's like way too early. I don't want my baby in the NICU. Right. I go, I'm fine. I still have no symptoms. Yeah. As far as we know, it's not spreading. And so I kind of just had to be my own advocate and put my foot down. And I said, no, I want to like deliver full term. And then
you were strong enough too in your faith to be like, I've come this far. Yeah. Like, you know.
They thought I was nuts. Yeah. They thought I was completely nuts. And so I remember going in, I was 33 weeks pregnant. We had like the routine 34-week checkup, and I had a room full of doctors come in. Yeah. 3 of them I didn't know, and they were just basically like putting the pressure on that I need to have this baby by 34 weeks. Like I could die, right? The baby could die. No, I said no. They were like, and Crystal's, I remember it was a very intense moment because again, like they were really worried. Right. So they were trying to kind of like, not instill fear, but they were being very aggressive.
Like overbearing in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I get it. But Crystal was like crying in the corner because like that's how intense this was.
Yeah, of course.
And I go, I'm not delivering early. And so I kind of stiff-armed my way into delivering at 37 and a half weeks.
I just cannot believe you had the baby healthy.
Yeah.
Now you're healthy.
Yeah.
And now you speak, you know, the Cancer Research Foundation.
Yes.
You just spoke at.
The Hippocratic Cancer Research Foundation.
In front of everyone.
I know.
You just spoke about it on the news as well.
It's wild because like I never in a million years thought I would ever get cancer. I'm healthy. My family's healthy. It doesn't run in our family. And so you never know like what you go through, like hardship, trauma. Yeah. I don't know why I was allowed to go through this, but I think if I could be an advocate for other people who are in a hopeless place, like I am more than happy to like share my story. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's just crazy because you come from Love is Blind, which is like a lot of like
trauma, but it was great.
Trauma, but different, more like drama.
Yeah, drama.
And then you deal with that. So now you speak to people in a different way.
Yes.
You were on, you know,
I was looked at a certain light,
in a certain way as a villain for like drama.
Right.
And then you go the other way that you get cancer.
I know.
And now people are reaching out to you to talk to them about cancer, how you feel, feeling
cancer
alone
advocate.
or cancer advocate.
Yeah.
So it's completely changed.
It's completely.
In such a short time.
That's why I think it's God. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that.
But it is, isn't it?
It's a completely different flip. Yeah.
It's a flip.
It's a flip.
It's like you went from the single girl that parties.
I know, wild girl.
To a mom who overcame cancer.
I know. Life is crazy. It's wild.
It's so different now.
It is. It's so different. My life is so different in a good way.
Yeah. And how many years, she? Like between Love is Blind and being a mom now, what was that, 5 years? Or 4?
4.
Yeah.
Well, no, technically 3.
3. Yeah. So
3.
In that short amount of time, because you know how fast time
That's why
goes
don't
by.
lose hope with anybody. Like your life can change so fast by tomorrow.
Yeah.
Whether the love of your life walks in tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? It's insane. Like,
but you can change the story at any time.
No, you really can.
That's why with people going through with whatever,
Yeah.
whether it's cancer, addiction, whether it's feeling lonely or depression or anxiety, any of it, no
1000%.
matter where you come from, what you have, you can still overcome it because everyone out there everyone has something that's relatable.
Everyone has a story. And that's where like I become, even from the show, like I will never judge anybody again because you have no idea what they're going through personally.
Right.
Like social media is fake.
You know, in our 20s though, we did this. Like everyone would judge. We look at a photo, we all did it.
1000%. And like even seeing people's behavior, it's like, okay, what's the mature response? Like what happened to them for them to, you know what I'm saying?
Right,
like,
exactly.
It's just all about perspective, but I will never judge anybody again. And again, you don't know what someone's going through.
No.
Even just mental health wise, like I know, so I have friends that were on reality television and like how they were struggling so hard. And it's so sad to see how we're so mean to each other and hard on each other.
We really
just don't know what someone's story is.
And just for some reason, I feel like this last couple of years though with mental health has shifted a little.
Yeah.
But we're so hard on other people and ourselves.
Yes.
But then you go through something.
Yeah.
And
it humbles you. Yeah. I am so humbled.
It humbles you.
I am
you
so
turn
humbled.
down the noise and you're like, wait a second.
Yeah.
I was the one talking shit about this.
Yeah.
And now I'm the one not.
Yeah. No, 1000%.
You shift. You shift focus. And I hate to say it, like I would have never want to go through what I've gone through or for you to have cancer, none of that.
No.
But it's like when we went through it, you change the story. You change.
It refines you.
Yeah. And I think as we get older too, we have more experiences. But it's like now you understand when someone comes forward and they're like, hey, I'm struggling with mental health hey, I'm struggling with this or that. Like you can relate.
Yeah, 1000%. I have so much empathy for people who's struggling in any realm or any category of mental health.
Yep.
Health, like
physical health, anything. Emotional health, any of it.
My heart goes out to them.
And they can all come forward and you know, share your story.
Which I love your podcast because you're giving people a safe space to share their story.
Yeah. And I said, you know, before on another episode that I have felt like a loner my whole life. Even though you have a room full, it doesn't mean that you are full.
No.
It doesn't mean that you're not lonely.
No.
It doesn't matter because everyone in the room does not internally go through what you go through.
No, exactly.
So,
well, especially with like what you've gone through, I can only imagine going through life like that. Like I could not imagine, and you're so strong.
But what would you say, to people that, you know, have cancer or sickness or doubts with themselves, if they're on, you know, in any part of their life, insecurities, anything, like what would your goal be? To just stay true to their faith and to just...
So my advice would be that route, like, God is my identity. So as long as he's the foundation of your life, whatever life circumstances come your way, you will not be shaken or moved.
Right.
Because you know what he says about you. You know, he is in control. He is sovereign. And I really do believe that he allows us to go through certain things, like, again, to refine us, to, you know, it's all for his glory.
To shape your life.
Exactly. And so my advice would just be always to go to him, like stay close to him. He never leaves us. We leave him, but he never leaves us.
Right.
And he is in control and he is fierce over you. And just to not lose hope, not to give up.
To always be hopeful. That's the other thing.
I think hope is the strongest feeling not to lose.
I always say that.
As long as you have hope, like, you're good.
You can't lose.
You can't lose.
No, even if it's
no
good,
matter
bad,
the
ugly, doesn't matter.
Exactly.
I always say hope is number one.
If it gets you, I think that's what gets you through the other side is hope. Do not let anybody steal your hope at the end of the day.
And how can you not be hopeful for people?
Oh, I know.
If people don't have hope.
I'm rooting for everybody.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I'm saying? Yeah.
I'm rooting for everyone.
Me too.
So it's like at the end of the day, you just pray for what you want and be hopeful.
Exactly. Just stay close to him. He'll never leave you or forsake you.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you for coming on today. I love you so much.
I love you.
Okay.